Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Startup Garage Podcast, your source for all things startup. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have John Su on the line, and he's CEO and co-founder over at iPill Dispenser. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, Adam. Thank you very much.
So excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to go further into iPill Dispenser and also talking about prevention of opioid dependency in teens and how iPill Dispenser exactly works and what it's doing to kind of combat the situation. But before we do that, let's just go into the company itself. So tell us a little bit more about iPill Dispenser and the product.
Sure. My name is Dr. John Su. I am an anesthesiologist, chronic pain management physician. So one of the things that made it difficult for me to practice medicine is that once I prescribed opioids for my patients, I couldn't tell whether they abused them, took them as directed, or diverted them or used them for overdoses after I gave them the opioids to go home with. So I developed a mobile app that connects to a iPill dispenser that securely stores, safely dispenses, and safely disposes of the unused opioids. So that way we have – I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, we're trying to do something to be socially impactful to save the young people who get addicted to opioids, because I think that's the way to prevent addiction. By, the product itself means that it is active controlled dispensing. Only the person who's prescribed the opioid can use the opioid only at the prescribed dose. And that means it also is tamper resistant, which means that when you take the opioid and you try to break into the dispenser, it actually destroys the pills. And at the end of 90 days, it destroys the pills. So that means that 3.3 billion pills that enter our cities every year will no longer enter our cities to allow addiction, overdose, and the human misery that occurs with it.
Wow, that's quite an amazing thing that you're tackling here. I don't want to assume that all of our listeners are familiar with the opioid problem in general. Maybe just a context, a little bit of background on that for maybe the listeners that aren't completely familiar.
Sure. So, in every single day, 50 million people take opioids to deal with acute pain or chronic pain. There's approximately 5 million, between 3 and 5 million people who are addicted to pain meds, and roughly 28,000 people die a year from prescription opioids. At this time, 47,000 people die of an opioid overdose every single year.
Wow. That's unbelievable, and that's why I knew you knew those stats, and I knew you had them on you, and that's why I had to bring it out, because I don't think everybody understands. So tell us a little bit more about the product, so in terms of where you're at with it. So is this in market right now, or are you still launching? Tell us a little bit more about that part of it.
Sure. So how a simple way to understand the product is a car fob. So we're using a person's phone and using it as a car fob to wirelessly connect to the dispenser, and the dispenser is like a bank ATM, which means that it's very secure. If your money's secure in a bank, your opioids are going to be secure in the iPill. Where we are right now, we're patented. We won an FDA Innovation Challenge. We're an FDA Breakthrough Product, and we're just about ready to start a pilot study with Rutgers Dental School. We are going to be FDA Class 1 registered in about in less than a month, which means that we will begin to be able to go on to market as a medical device in about 2 months after we start to produce products.
Oh man, that's amazing. And I mean, you're going on over 3 years now in the company and kind of getting it to launch. So and just the what kind of response have you received from this? Because I know obviously you've been in the community talking about this, and what kind of response have you gotten so far?
Well, part of it is kind of it's surprising to me. Most people in the government, most people in the agencies that deal with opioid crisis really worry about addicts, which is very important. But I don't think that's a real good way to prevent addiction, because you're already treating addicts. If you treat an addict one day, the next day you're going to have a treated addict. But for instance, prevention is really ignored. We don't have a good way to prevent people from being dependent and then abusing and then addicted to opioids. We have a child-resistant cap. Anyone can open a child-resistant cap. It doesn't prevent children or adults from opening the pills, and then it's taking the pills as you want, which means that if you have a child-resistant cap and you open it, you can do whatever you want with those pills. So that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to make it so that everyone is wearing a seatbelt in a car, but they're wearing a seatbelt for opioids. You can only take them as prescribed.
Oh, man, I just love this. I'm in love with this product, John, because there's a lot of people out there. I mean, so on this podcast, so just to throw this out there, so I host other ones too, and on some of my other ones, I've interviewed some of the people that run the treatment centers that handle and treat some of on the addict side of things, and it's a really tough epidemic that's going on that not everybody's aware of. If it hasn't touched them personally or their families, they don't really know what's going on. And I didn't really know until doing some of these interviews, so that it really touched me to understand, this problem that we don't talk about, or I don't think gets enough media. So to see you combating it, and everybody, in my opinion, that I've seen so far, a lot of the things are coming from the other side of what do you do, exactly what you said, addicts, or when the problem is already there, which is a good thing. I'm not saying don't do that, but hitting it from the beginning and like being really preventative and giving parents or other people that are taking the pills the opportunity to really prevent the crisis in the first place. I mean, that's just next level, John. I love it.
Yeah, and 1 in 4 opioids for overdose now involves children and teens. So if you look at that, if you can prevent a child from becoming an addict, you can actually allow them to mature into an adult. And that's what's really important to us right now. Our children are really important to us as a generation.
Man, I love this, John. I love what you're doing. Love the work. So that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about iPill, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out or to learn more about the company?
Well, the best way is to go to the website, www.ipilldispenser.com, IPILLDISPENSER, or to email me at john@ipilldispenser.com, and that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Man, I love this. Love the product. Love what you're doing. Thank you for coming on the show today, John. Appreciate it, and telling us more about what you're doing over at iPill. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Startup Garage, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. I mean, love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And John, thanks again for coming on the show.